Okay. Can you see my screen? Yes, right? I hope so. So I'm just going to talk about three very simple items, the SF 2020 taxonomy, the conformance suite, and the taxonomy illustrated. First of all, the taxonomy. I'm pretty sure all of you know, on the last 7th of December 2020, the ESMA has published the 2020 SF External Taxonomy file and the SF Conformance Suite. You have all the links on the bottom of the presentation of every single slide, okay? So in a summary, this taxonomy, what it has is the entry points, okay, in order the IT companies and all the preparers can work with that. Remember that we have two main entry points. We have one for browsing the SF taxonomy as a reference, so it's not allowed to use it in the filings. And the other one, that is the second one, the one in the bottom, that is the element of the definition of all the elements, what is called the core taxonomy, and is the proper entry point to be used in the extension taxonomy schema of the filers. Okay, so we really need to distinguish between these two different entry points. What we are going to have, obviously, is the taxonomy package in a zip file of the SF taxonomy. If we download the zip and we unzip it, we are going to see two different folders, one with meta information, with all the mappings, the URI mappings between the taxonomy and the explanation of the taxonomy package, etc. And the second folder with the files that are included on the esma.europe.eu website. Then we have documentation. We have a very good documentation of the ESMA taxonomy. This documentation has three main different epigraphs, paragraphs. The introduction and the SF taxonomy are the most important ones. We have a description of a technical description on how is built the taxonomy, which is the structure, the content, the design of this taxonomy, and also which are the development and the future updates that are expected on the taxonomy. It's a PDF documentation as usual. And then finally, we have the third deliverable of this ESMA SF Taxonomy 2020. It's a PowerPoint document with only one slide, that it has the architecture, the different files and how they are moduled and where are every single file in which different website. Okay, so you have all this information in a very simple slide on the Taxonomy 2020 architecture. And then what it has been released on the 7th of December has been the conformance suite. Okay, the conformance suite also has three different documented deliverables. The first one is the test files. The test file is a zip file that it has. If you download it, you will see like three different files: the infrastructure folder, the test folder, and the index folder. All of them are together these 64 test cases that are divided into 192 sample XBRL report packages. And all of them, or these 64 test cases, are representing some rule or some guidance in the SF regulation and also on the reporting manual. So this is a very valuable deliverable for as an input for the taxonomy consumers. We can say that it's the tools, the tool providers, the ones that are creating SF reports. I think it's very important that they really download this conformance suite and test it in the tool, in order the tool gives the proper errors, you know, all the semantics, all the syntax of the error is properly represented on the tool. In order to understand better all of these test cases, we have some documentation. This documentation is explaining every single test cases, why it's defined, which is the goal of these test cases, also which is the technical error that must be shown by the XBRL tool when this error happens. Okay, and maybe we have an explanation of this document and an overview of every single test case that is very interesting. And the third, the last one but not the least, is an Excel file, which is explaining these 192 taxonomy packages, sample XBRL packages. Obviously, for all of them, we have a valid test, a test that is passing this rule, okay? And then we have at least one test, one XBRL file, which is not passing the rule, okay? That it's failing the rule, at least one. Sometimes, just like if you can see on the first row in this Excel document, we have one that is on green, and we have three different ones which are not passing this test. Okay, so this is the usual Excel. The last year, ESMA already delivered an Excel file in this format, and I think it's really useful for preparers of the information for the XBRL reporting providers. And finally, I just want to present you, yesterday we did it in the XBRL Spain conference, but today I really want to tell you that we have prepared already an SF 2020 Taxonomy Illustrated in the same way, in a similar way that we did it last year, and in a very similar way that also the IFRS Foundation does every year. We have created a PDF, an Excel document. Okay, it's very nice. I think we have time. We are behind of the schedule, so I really can show you a little bit the Excel document. It's just a very simple Excel document where you have a main sheet where you have all the 23 languages in which we have the SF 2020 taxonomies. Okay, it has been developed. Some of you were at 2:30 on the beginning of the Open Filing General Assembly. You will hear Ignacio explaining all of us, which has been the work with the labor roles that are missing on the SF, not only this version of the taxonomy, also the previous ones. So we have worked with these missing roles in order to make it something that is in user-friendly format, in this case in Excel, and has all the single labels for every single data point. Okay. So you can download it on this website in the bottom of the slide. Remember, all the label rows that are the standard one. This is label works properly. But when we have a language that is different than English, and we have some total label, period, start label, there are label rows that you can see here on the bottom right part of the screen. Okay, so we were having problems if we are reading the ESMA XBRL. SF 2020 XBRL files. So in this Excel document, we have corrected these label rows that were missing, and we have highlighted in yellow. So every time you see something in yellow, some cell in yellow, remember that it's our translation. Okay, maybe it's not perfect. I'm pretty sure it will not be perfect, but it's something in order to give you a clue that this label row has not been translated officially by ESMA. Okay. The Excel document is very simple. We have for every single language, we have like an index where we can just, all of them are hyperlinks, and you can click them, and then you go directly. I mean, if you are familiar with the IFRS Illustrated taxonomy, it's something like this. We have just used the same colors, etc. So let me see. This is in Spanish, for example. This is the balance sheet in Spanish, and this total is not translated to Spanish, so we have just translated here and highlighted in yellow color. Okay, let me see if this is going to work. Okay, can you confirm that you can see my screen in an Excel document?
Yes.
Okay, great. So what we are seeing here is just my previous slide. Okay, and as Elena is here, let's click on finish, for example. Okay, so we have here all the list of financial statements and the notes to the financial statement according to IFRS. Okay, so you can click on whatever you want here. Okay, and it's going to bring you to the financial statement you want, and see these are these total rows, these beginning of the period rows, end of the period rows, net rows that are not officially translated. Okay, you can see it here on yellow. Okay, so it's super simple, this Excel file, but I think it's very useful for all of these users that doesn't want to download any XBRL tool, or they cannot download the XBRL tools and they want to see just the taxonomy in order to understand it better. This is a very simple way, and plenty of different companies are doing the same. They are just publishing their illustrated taxonomies in different ways. We have just considered to make 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. Okay, the first one in order to have information about if it's an IFRS element or SF element. As you can imagine, all the monetary elements, etc., are IFRS, and only some guidance elements are from SF, just like this one, for example. Okay, and then you have in the second column is the name of the item, and the third one is the type of the item. We have a monetary percentage, string, guidance, etc., etc. And the last column is the legal reference, the reference documentation about which is the IFRS or IAS standard in which is based this particular item. Okay, so we have this for all the language. Just go there, click there. If you see any error, we will be very happy to correct it, because as I was telling you, I think we have published it on Monday of this week, so we can have some errors here, but in any case, it's open, it's for free, it's open source here. So please use it or distribute it or do whatever you want with it, because it's absolutely open source. Download it from the web page, that the direct link that you can see there. And that's it. I mean, it's pretty simple. I think it's very useful material, and that's it.
So my comment is be aware of the large number of yellow cells. The problem is that the XViral software is unable to manage that yellow cells, and then the XViral software will put something. In the best case, we'll put the English label. In the best case. But the best case, maybe not the standard case. So you see this statement, 4100,000, you have a group of missing labels in which when you use the tools, the standard tools in XViral, the standard tools are unable to find the proper label for this particular element, creating complications. So we are working a lot in Europe in order to use automatic translations thanks to XVRL, but this detail is missing. Problem is this detail is, according our review, around 12% of the total labels in the illustrated taxonomy. So it's not a pure detail. It's a big detail. That's all.
Exactly, it's a lot. I mean, you have some financial statement like this one where you are going to have plenty of highlighted yellow cells, okay, because they are using a lot of different label rows that are not the standard one, okay, and you will have another ones which has no impact at all. For example, on the first one, okay, on the very first one, you will not see any yellow stuff here. All of this information, all of this data that it's usually strings or text block, etc., doesn't have any other label which is not the default one. So you will have the string per se. But when we are talking about monetary information with different label role, you can have some of them, because you are going to find plenty of net labels. You're going to find plenty of total, beginning of the period, end of the period, negated terse label. So all of them has some kind of difficult on the visualization. But in any case, this is our effort to make it fully readable, all the taxonomy. Okay, and that's it. Please just use it and share it, modify whatever you want. I mean, it's an Excel file. It's not protected, obviously, so you really can work with it in the best way you want. Okay, and I think that's it on my presentation. Okay, thank you so much for your attention. I hope that you have seen, which are the main key aspects on the new publication of the SF 2020 taxonomy by ESMA. And if you have any question, you can just make it or send it by chat, as you prefer.